Welcome back to Vipersight, a weekly video series where we dive into fight-specific analysis on Viper. Today, we're looking at the first boss of the new Arcadian Savage tier, Black Cat. The core of the fight is just a massive memory game. Let's get right into it. We can start this fight with our standard opener. The first mechanic will happen during this, so be careful. For us, we had DPS bait the cones first, and then the supports, and then we just dodge back and forth. Nine lives is the main mechanic of the fight. She's going to telegraph an attack and then spawn two clones that will then echo that attack later. The first one is a half rune cleave. Remember the safe sides. First it's right, then it's left. And then she'll spawn two clones, one at a diagonal angle and one at a vertical angle. These clones will cleave the same order that the boss just did. So the safe side is going to be on the right side first of both clones. The second safe side is always directly opposite of the first. You have until the end of the 9 lives cast to be in the safe spot, so feel free to hit positionals until then. Find your clock spot and use it as a landmark. You'll need to go there as soon as this mechanic is over. The boss will then either start casting quadruple or octuple swipe. Quadruple means partners, octuple means spread. For us, we just go to our clock spot and we had supports move to wherever they needed to be. This is immediately followed by leaping quadruple crossing. Since we're baiting first, we need to get ready. This is a good spot to hold Uncoiled Fury for. I do mess up my 2 minutes here just because of how the boss moves. I should move behind it and move with it. Mouser can look crazy, but it's real simple. Focus on the 2 squares that you're standing on and just go to the one that gets hit once. For this pattern, 3 is safe. This next section looks confusing, but it's really simple. Everything can be solved on the clean tiles. The clone will either target all DPS or all supports. It's all DPS this time. For progression, we chose to resolve this by following the clean squares from north to south or east to west. This is fine, but for better uptime, the melees will want to go to the inner squares and the range go to the outer squares. Here, I should have stood at the other corner and used Uncoiled Fury to keep uptime. I got knocked away from the boss and had to slither back in, losing an extra half a second. I also didn't press any GCD for 10 seconds, but this was because I was being extra safe. If I instead went out to the corner and used Uncoiled Fury, I would be looking at the boss for the knockup and be sent into the safe corner. Next is a big knockback followed by spreads. We had Group 1 prioritize west and Group 2 prioritize east. We save a Vicewinder for this knockback. This is to be able to slither back in immediately. However, this does delay our burst timing just a little bit, but for our group it worked out because everybody else was holding until after the knockback anyway. However, the problem is that we had to triple weave Serpent's Ire, and it caused us to clip by 0.04 seconds, which isn't much, but it's still a clip. and it also delayed the start of our burst a little bit. In this instance, it would have been fine, but we get a bad pattern here. This first leap safe spot is on the outside, so we have to use an Uncoiled Fury to not get hit and keep our GCD rolling. This almost pushes Ouroboros out of buffs. All of these issues could have been avoided if I didn't use Vicewinder before that 4-minute burst window. What I should have done then is use Vicewinder here to go out to the far corner, and then use Uncoiled Fury to face the boss. By then, I would have been snapshot for the knockup, and would have kept as much uptime as I could. This means for the Shockwave knockback, I need another solution. I should have enough time to be able to slither back in after a normal dual-wield GCD, but I'll test that next week. Anyway, going back to the fight. This section of the fight for me is probably the hardest. The boss will do 2 attacks, the half-room cleaves and then the Protean clones. But then she'll store those into those sleeping clones. When they wake up, they will execute whatever attack was stored into them. The order is completely random, so there's a lot of memorization you have to do here. While you're progging this part of the fight, I would recommend having a couple of rattling coils to hold on to just in case. The boss will then start channeling one of the clones. That clone will wake up and do whatever mechanic was stored into it. The boss wakes up the south clone first, which had the half-room cleave stored into it. During the half-room cleaves, the boss will also do 2 line AoEs, Group 1 North, Group 2 South. This is a good time to use True North. This means that the other clone will be doing the Protean baits. Now during this, the boss will also target all DPS or all supports with a marker over their head. Whoever gets the marker has to go out for these baits. Whoever doesn't has to go in and bait the cones. DPS gets these. Here, for progression, I played extremely safe. I have 3 rattling coils so I can stay out for as long as I need to. But I have this nasty habit that I need to fix. I keep pressing Uncoiled Twin Fang too fast and queuing it twice, completely dropping Twin Blood. Breaking this habit will be my primary focus next week. After the second clone is resolved is our 6-minute burst. If you pot it in the opener, pot it here. There's a lot of questions about proper pot windows for Viper. There's too much to talk about it here, so it'll be in an upcoming video along with the comprehensive 7.05 Viper guide. If that's something you're interested in, good thing there's a little button that'll make it pop up on your feed when it comes out. The next Mouser and Copycat sequence is exactly like the first with 2 differences. Whichever group did not get targeted first by the knockbacks and knockdowns will get targeted here. The other difference is, while you're dodging the perpendicular cleaves from the knockbacks and knockdowns, the rest of the group will have to manage 2 mechanics. The first is splintering nails. These are role-based stacks. We had tanks go left, DPS go right, and healers in the middle, looking at the boss. This will happen twice. The other mechanic is Overshadow. This is just a line stack AoE. This will also happen twice. The order of these mechanics are completely random. Now we have another shockwave coming up. This is the exact same timing in our rotation and it's resolved the exact same way, except this time I use a dual wield GCD to slither back in. And it worked. I didn't clip whatsoever here, and I still stayed aligned for my 8-minute burst, with potion since I potted at the 2-minute. And by now, in most cases, the boss should be dead. The DPS check in this fight is very lenient. Our group had a couple of deaths, especially before big burst windows, so we had to see this mechanic. If you do, it's pretty simple. Group 1 stay in the hitbox, Group 2 stay out, tanks take the first tether, healers take the second, range take the third, and then melee take the fourth. These tethers hit hard though, so make sure you're using feint. And for our group,
Melee.
this is where we kill the boss.
No.
It's fine. I did all my burst.
It's okay.
Thank you.
That was a weird jump.
That's a kill. Let's
Yeah,
get
also
it.
we
Just kill, just kill, just kill, just kill.
Just send
dead.
it.
Blood sacrifice. Thank you, Rove.
Thank you, Rove.
Hero.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yippee, yeah.
And that's the fight. I enjoyed the Savage version of this fight. It was full of brain-teasing memory games, and having to flip the arena in my head to dodge mechanics was really fun. Rotationally, this fight can be treated as full uptime. There are several disconnects that can happen depending on patterns, so be sure to save the necessary amount of rattling coils to deal with these. Most of these disconnects can be solved with one Uncoiled Fury. Try to time the shockwave knockbacks between a dual-wield GCD, and then slither back to the boss before the GCD finishes rolling. Using Vicewinder here for this can cause you to drift out of raid buffs. If you have any optimizations or any tips that helped you during prog for this fight, let us know in the comments. Good luck next week, and may your loot rolls be high. Thanks for watching.